Okay. All right. So, there I was on Twitter last night. Okay, I was on Twitter. It was like 1 a.m. It's about 1 a.m. and I had to make an executive decision about whether or not I wanted to deal with drama the next day because I saw a tweet and I didn't like it. Okay, the tweet made me sad. The tweet made me upset. The tweet was a violation of my First Amendment rights. The last part is not exactly true. Pulling up a list of AAVE for the timeline. Don't get mad at me if I'm angry with you if you use it after the fact. And what this is a list of a bunch of words that come from AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English, aka the old term was Ebonics, aka the way you think black people talk. And many of these words aren't from AAVE. Actually, they're just sort of words. Oh yeah, jive. Depending how. I'm sorry. Are there any 80-year-olds watching right now? Jive. There we go. Now we've included everyone in the potential range of the potential range of terminology. You know, God Almighty. I didn't like this, folks. So I mean, we should take a look at the list. I think AAVE, aka Black Talk. Any form of the N-word. Okay, I'll take that. Okay, I'm a good white boy. I would never say the N-word, public or private. That's fine. You can have that. You've got ratchet, bay, dead ass. That's shoe on. Doesn't shoe on head say dead ass literally like every other word? Shoe on head black? I don't know. Anyway, lit, yas. We can skip around. Basic, woke, turned up, salty. Ooh, that's a popular one in my circles. Trippin', thought. Killing it. Bruh, ASF, like as fuck. Cray cray. I could have guessed that one. Chill. Dope. Swag. Fam. Extra. Slay. Just to pick a few. And now, I've got a lot to say about this. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to steel man their position, and then I'm going to take it down, okay? I'm going to steel man their position, and then I'm going to take it down. That's what I'm going to do, okay? Get ready for it. So, you know what's really fucking weird? How much shit we steal from black people. It's actually fucking insane when you think about how much shit we steal from black people. It's actually unbelievable how much of our culture was yoinked from. This goes way back. Back in the 1920s and the 1930s, there was a thing that wealthy or well-to-do white people would do called slumming it. And what this usually involved was going to Harlem. Harlem was the black cultural center of the United States of America during that time period. Harlem was an epicenter of cultural production, from music to dance to theater. The extent to which Harlem has contributed to like our modern cultural dialogue is fucking unbelievable. But then these white people would go in and they would partake, and depending on what type of white folk and what part of Harlem they're in, you know, they go there for different things. Sometimes they would go there because they wanted to appreciate, you know, the blues or whatever, and fine, okay. And sometimes they would go there because I read this out of a history book once. It was actually a quote. The belief that the Negro female was more closely akin to nature, more animalistic, and thus more wild with her passions and more sexually awakened than the white woman, would often lead white men to Harlem to fuck black prostitutes because they were more, you know, animalistic and what have you. Which, if we're reading between the lines here, means that these white guys were saying the black women were better at sex. So we can we can infer that from from the language they used. Yeah, there's so many layers to that statement. I know. Why are you weird champing me? It was the 1920s. Blame them. My family came from Europe, okay? There are no racists in Europe, all right? Blame them. I have nothing to do with this. Anyway, the point is, back then there was a the point is, like, for a long time, even before Jim Crow ended, the practice of like white people kind of condescendingly sampling black culture before then going back to their more comfortable like white space. This is like a long-standing thing. You could fill a 2-hour video, you could fill a documentary on this and not even be close to comprehensive. As time has gone on, the methods have changed, but the basic sentiment has stayed the same, where black people will create culture. I think the reason they're good at doing this, by the way, black people, is because in many cases, the ability to produce good art comes from experience, pain, and introspection. And all three of those things are something that you are forced to develop in spades as effectively second-class citizens. It's one of the reasons why Jews are so fucking funny. Far and away. As it turns out, if you have a cultural familiarity with suffering, I feel like this bounds back, you know, pretty effectively. Don't say that pain causes good art. Not pain on an individual level, but a cultural awareness of the suffering people can experience, a familiarity with the emotional range of the human mind. Those things, I think, help produce good art. Whereas sort of the dull, monotonous, dreary, the suburban, the white, you know, a life that has been streamlined into plastic efficiency, I feel like this tends to be very antithetical to the production of art, in my opinion. But whatever the case may be, like, run through the history. Rock and roll today was in large part a product of jazz. Early rock and roll artists kind of pioneered a musical form that was later very heavily occupied by white artists. Black folk, in the 1990s, we have your rap and your hip hop, and this is today still the most popular form of music around. This is hip hop is one of the greatest cultural exports of the United States. It's like hamburgers. You know, we didn't actually make hamburgers. What do we make? I think the only thing America exports meaningfully culturally comes from black people. I don't even know. So you have AAVE. Rock came from the blues, or from the blues. Yeah, I don't have like a strong music backing, but everything I say, the sentiment at least, is justifiable, and you can learn more about it. Yeah, we export war. We have corn. True. But AAVE, African American Vernacular English. So, AKA, just imagine like a stereotypical black person talking, and you're going to be pulling from AAVE. If you imagine like a stereotypical Southern person talking, there's going to be an overlap between those two dialects. And the reason for that is because a lot of what we now call AAVE was heavily intertwined with influences that came from the American South, and also from, you know, the African roots from the slaves that were taken here, and also from, I think there were like islander influences, like Jamaican stuff that's occasionally implemented as well. It's this big cultural smorgasbord. And do you know what, for the most part, people call that language when it's spoken by a black person? Ghetto. They call it ghetto. Unprofessional. Depending on how far right the person is, they might call it like low IQ speak. I've heard that one before. I've heard that one while browsing Twitter. They call it ghetto for the most part. And that sucks for a lot of reasons, because, for among other reasons, AAVE is as good a way of speaking English as what I do. AAVE is grammatically consistent, and it communicates information as effectively as what I say. So, in terms of the utility of applying AAVE as like a sort of default language, it's not any better or worse than what I do. I just don't talk in AAVE. So there's nothing inherently better or worse about it, but instead, it gets called ghetto. There's an association, poverty, you know, stupidity. And that on its own is bad enough. But then you rub the salt in the wound. Because you know who gets to talk in AAVE and get treated nice? White gays. They took it first. Now, I don't pretend to understand in entirety the cultural through line that leads from black people having AAVE in one way, and this leading to white gay and drag culture, and then this leading to white girls on Twitter. I don't know how the pipeline works. I haven't put together all the pieces yet. But that is what happens, okay? You have terms like throwing shade or bae or finna or whatever, and that goes down. You get RuPaul Drag Race, yeah, they start saying that shit, and then eventually you see, yeah, like the 16-year-old girls on TikTok saying it as well, and then it enters like general common cultural parlance. This has happened with so many guys. Dog. Do you remember back when you didn't say dog? DAWG? Do you remember? Because I remember being in high school and dog was just starting to be a thing people were saying popularly. And back then, I would say it ironically because I thought it was a low-class way of talking. It was a joke that I would share with my friends. And now I say it unironically because what was then dalliance into a silly way of talking is now a completely normalized way of speaking for people regardless of their ethnic background. You can do that too with yo. What about fam? There are so many words that have followed this pattern, and the salt stings the most because even after this language is normalized in common parlance, black people still get called ghetto for saying it. Which is really fucking weird. So, the problem with white people using AAVE, which is, again, we're talking about this Twitter post, remember? The problem with it is that it kind of feeds into a broader pattern of you getting to get away with shit they get discriminated against for. And this isn't the only way in which this happens either. It's not just AAVE. What about the what's that one, Ariana Grande? How a lot of like black music or harder hitting music kind of gets normalized a little bit when light skinned or white pop stars use it. Try it out a little bit. It's called blackfishing, I think. Yeah. But not so much if just dark-skinned black people are doing it. It's about making it palatable. I don't pretend to know that much about pop music, but as I understand, they did this with rock and roll too. So that's the steel man. That's the steel man to all of this. That it contributes to a long-standing and problematic cultural tendency. Now, here's where I tear this Twitter post apart. This is dumb as shit. Just because there is a general cultural tendency towards the appropriation of black language does not mean individual fucking people are racist for using words that have been normalized in the cultural discourse. If you unironically think a white person using fam does A, any harm to any person of any skin tone, or B, meaningfully indicates any of their positions on anything, you need to step way the fuck back. Listen, okay, black liberation is over here, okay, somewhere in this space in front of my hands, and you are not even in the fucking zip code with this one, all right? This is not even fucking in the ballpark. This is I couldn't even, you're so far away from it that I can't even get to where you are right now because COVID-19 prevents me from leaving the borders of the continental United States, okay? So I can't even get to you right now. We can't even reach each other. The funny thing is, if you go through this this Twitter post, there are I don't like the attitudes people are taking in this. I'm so glad I'm black, I guess is what's being said here. Great, cool. I don't have a problem with that. What? Oh. Wait, that must have been because of me. I have a 20,000 like tweet responding to this, calling it woke segregation. Wait, shit. Wait, I did this. Fuck. Well, well, there goes there goes my evidence for why that was bad. That's okay. You'll have to trust me, okay? You can way back machine this if you want. But that thread was full of people who were white apologizing for using terms like bae. And that thread was full of black people rubbing it the fuck in. It's very weird. That's very strange to me. That does I don't like that one at all. I don't think that one doesn't I don't think that's an anti-racism at all. To be perfectly honest, I think that might be a little fucking tangential. That looks to me like the Twitter equivalent of when those Black Lives Matter protesters had their feet washed. Or no, it wasn't BLM protesters. It was those black Israelites who had their feet washed. Do you remember that? They went to the protest and they just got white people. Uhuru, you know? I'm not here for that shit. Listen, individual white people, okay? You can say whatever the fuck you want, okay? You can say whatever the fuck you want, as long as it's not racial slurs, all right? If you want to say bae or fam or woke or finna or whatever, first of all, a lot of these words aren't exclusively AAVE, okay? I know for a fact you have screenshots of people apologizing if you need them. Hello, shoe on head. Wait, somebody's saying... Yeah, no, you know what? Shu, DM them to me. Yeah, Shu, DM them to me. Do it. Yeah, Shu. You offer it. I'm taking it. The issue is, first of all, a lot of these words aren't AAVE exclusive. Second of all, even if they are, there's nothing wrong with black cultural artifacts being disseminated into broader public discourse. In fact, I think that's a beautiful thing. I think it's awesome that that we live in a country where in spite of how fucking racist we are to black people, they produce so much cultural worth that it still enters mainstream society. They're that fucking good. You can't whack the black. They keep coming back. People in fucking Washington, they think we'll get them with this drug war. That'll be the end of blacks forever. So they make hip hop. They keep winning. You know what I'm talking about. You get what I'm talking about. And holding individual people accountable, or like trying to like impugn the moral worth of individual people for this language use, like this. Oh my God, I use some daily and now I feel so bad. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry if I offended anyone. Yeah, I don't know. The worst part is this gives so much ammunition to the right. If this was just in a vacuum where we didn't have any conservatives in the world, it wouldn't bother me quite as much. But I know now the next time I'm going to talk to a Nazi, like on like a debate or something, they're going to be like, and now they're having white people literally apologize for the language they use to talk. These whites, they're already using this ghetto language, but that's not even enough for the blacks. They want you to apologize for it. I can already hear it in my head. Like I already know. I can project the next conversation I'm going to have in my head. It doesn't solve anything. It makes everyone involved look like twats. It doesn't address racism, and it's not good. It's not good. Hold on, we're looking at the Shu tweets. Shu, how do you do it? Wait, how do I show this without revealing all my DMs with everyone else? Here we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, I get all the rest of them, but I'm really confused about herself. Is that not just an extension of himself, themselves, etc.? Sorry, I'm really not being sarcastic or anything, but this list is really, really helpful. I'm going to start cutting them out of my vocabulary. Thank you. Hey, herself is only AAVE in certain contexts. That's phrases like feeling herself, checking herself, etc. Just so you know, feeling herself and checking herself are both standard English. It's just how the word follows certain verbs, and the original poster wanted to save space, which, like mad respect, take it easy, added to the mental list. Oh my god, thanks to the list. I'm just surprised I had no clue all these words were AAVE. I'm trying to get rid of it in my vocabulary. What? Why is it? They're just words. It's not black language and white language. This is segregation. This is the black ghetto language, and this is the white language, and you use that, and we use that. It doesn't, why? Also, the AAVE equivalent of this possessive article would be his self. Himself and herself are both standard English. His self is AAVE. I don't know why this you'd think they would know that. I don't know. I'm just asking. I've used some of these words, mostly bruh, on here in IRL, and I didn't know it was AAVE till now. Do I stop using these words? I really mean no harm. Okay, and this is like the reasonable answer, but like kind of. Like other people have said, I don't see no harm in using our language if you are educated and know the origins, don't use it to mock us, use it with precaution, and if a black person tells you not to use it around them, don't do it. Okay, we're gonna go a little hard on this one right now, okay? So, first of all, you don't need to... AAVE slang doesn't require a fucking special education and a fucking etymological course to be able to use, okay? It's language, it's used broadly in this country, it is culturally diffused. Millions of people say bruh. You do not need you don't need a fucking 15-minute video on black history to say bruh, okay? Now, as for the don't use it to mock us, yeah, sure, that's fine, but you shouldn't use any language to mock black people for being black. That doesn't have anything to do with it being AAVE. Same with, like, the N-word. It's not because it's AAVE, it's because it's a racial slur. So just, the issue there is the mockery, not the word you're using. Use it with precaution, and if a black person tells you not to use it around them, don't do it. Man, if I ever said, like, lit around a black person and they told me not to use it, I don't think I would ever spend time around that black guy again. That is a weird fucking thing to do and to say. That is some weird shit right now. Thankfully, this is exclusively a Twitter problem, because the people who are stupid enough to write out these lists would never have the fucking gumption to say some shit like that in real life, okay? So this gets to be exclusively an online problem, because nobody like socially incompetent enough to make these dumbass points would ever make them in real life. Bosh, that's not true. This very same discourse was on Facebook. Uh-oh. Oh, if the Facebook dipshits are getting to it, then we have a problem. No. I was like, okay, yeah, nice, but then I saw Bra and Swag. I will miss you, Bra and Swag. They don't miss you, though. Black folk are finally getting their reparations. They're taking their language back from the whitey. So I'm a little confused. I understand knowing the origin of these words and knowing the history behind them, but saying to take some of these words out of their vocabulary is what's throwing me off. A lot of these words have come about through meme culture and internet culture. That's the thing. It's not meme culture. It's AAVE. AAVE was just popularized and spread throughout internet circles. And now white people are trying to say they made it when it came from black women. It's just another form of appropriation. It can be both. Be meme culture and AAVE. In fact, they very often overlap because black people are funny as shit. Black Twitter literally fucking pioneered like half of the language we use. When we're making hot memes. Yeah, black people make memes like all that. This is so weird. This isn't meme language. This is black language. This didn't come from memes. It came from black people. Okay. Oh god. Anyway, I don't know, dude. This discourse is dumb as fuck. Anyway, I fell asleep and I thought like, okay, do I feel like getting canceled? So I tweeted my response to that, and then I didn't get canceled yet. We'll have to see. I think actually the reason why I'm not going to be canceled is because whenever Black Twitter gets angry at me, it's like hyper woke leftist black nationalist Twitter, and they're too leftist to get behind this bullshit liberal approach to racial justice. Nobody who like goes around posting Malcolm X quotes is going to go on Twitter and talk about how the conflation of AAVE and meme culture is destroying black people, you know? So that's my safety net right there. It's the black liberals. God. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Before we play SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, what are your thoughts on it? At least white people have small chungus moment instead of bruh.